Welcome to Chapter 5, Part 2. Moving on to viral components. Viruses, they don't look like regular cells. They lack any protein synthesizing machinery found in cells, like ribosomes and so on. Viral structure itself is composed of regular repeating subunits, gives it kind of like a crystalline appearance. The structure contains only those parts that are needed to invade and control a host cell. So there's an external coating, there's a core containing one or more nucleic acid strains of either DNA or RNA, and then some viruses have one or two enzymes. The capsid is the protein shell that surrounds the nucleic acid. The nucleic capsid is the capsid together with the nucleic acid. A naked virus is only the capsid with the nucleic acid, okay, or the nucleic capsid. If a virus has an envelope, it is not a naked virus. If a virus has an envelope, that's an additional external covering of the capsid, and it's usually a modified piece of the host cell's membrane. So it takes a piece of the host cell with it when it leaves the cell. So other viral components include spikes, which we've heard a lot about spikes lately. If you've read anything about COVID-19, spikes can be found on naked or enveloped viruses. They project from the nucleic capsid or the envelope, and they allow viruses to dock with the host cell, just like a boat docks to, needs a dock to kind of get you to where you need to go. A virus needs a dock on the host cell, and that spike allows for that. A virion, use this as just terminology here, a fully formed virus that's able to establish an infection in the host cell. So you can see here the structure. One is the envelope virus on the right, and the left is a naked virus, and you can see those capsids on the naked virus. They look like little marbles. If you've ever played with those magnetic balls that you have to be careful not to let your animals get or your children to swallow, because they can wreak havoc on the innards. But so those little capsids are those little marble-like structures, and then inside the cell, this is kind of showing what's inside of the cell through the wall of the capsid, and not an actual wall. It's just the coat. There's your nucleic acid, whether it be DNA or RNA, and then you have your spikes sticking off. Same idea here. This around here is indicating the envelope. You have your spikes, you have the genetic material, and you have the capsid on the inside. So the capsid is the most prominent feature of the virus. It's constructed from identical protein subunits called capsomeres. So I may have misspoke earlier. This whole thing is the capsid, and then each one of these little marble things is the capsomere. Interestingly enough, when the parts of the virus are duplicated or synthesized, once it's time for assembly of the virus, it's a spontaneous self-assembling thing that happens into the finished capsid, which I find to be, I don't know, for some reason very interesting that it just does it automatically. So the viral envelope is, like I said, it takes a bit of the cell membrane when they are released from the cell, from the host cell. Envelope viruses can bud from the cell membrane, the nuclear envelope, or the ER, endoplasmic reticulum. The envelope makes these viruses a little bit more flexible. So sometimes they can be pleomorphic or kind of oddly shaped. So this is just some information on this table. I'm not going to go through this. I would read through it once just to be familiar with what it says here. Some of it's just kind of repeat of what I've already said. Same thing here. And I did want to say that complex capsids The type of viruses that have complex capsids. This guy doesn't it look like a spider or some sort of alien thing? Well, these are only found in viruses that infect bacteria. So if we kind of go back, we say, okay, you know, this is, you know, it's only showing a portion here, but this is a virus here, and it's enveloped. And then this is a virus here, it's enveloped, or it's naked rather, and then this is an enveloped virus. But then when you look at this, that looks like something totally different, and it kind of looks creepy. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But this is considered a complex capsid. Not that I'm necessarily going to ask you a bunch of questions on this, but the viruses that infect bacteria look distinctly different than the viruses that infect animals. So at the core of the virus is going to be the nucleic acid. So the genome is the sum of the total genetic information carried by an organism. So viruses contain DNA or RNA, never both of them, just one or the other. I feel like that's a question that comes up either in the smart book or the homework or the quiz or something. The number of viral genes is quite small compared to that of a cell. So hepatitis B only has 4 genes. That's a virus. Herpes viruses, hundreds of genes. And viruses possess only the genes needed to invade the host and redirect their activity. That's it. And remember, the genes are it's the secret code. The genes are a piece of their genetic information that is the secret recipe code to do whatever, to make something or to do something. So some of this PowerPoint I have deleted out. So there's a little bit of information that you might say, I don't know what they're talking about, double-stranded versus single-stranded. So you can kind of breeze over that in the textbook, and there may very well be a question or two in the smart book or the homework and quiz on double-stranded versus single-stranded, but I don't really cover a lot of it. So just keep it simple with this. But I left this in here so you could see some of the interesting shapes of the specific viruses that cause specific diseases. You know, genital herpes, this is how that virus looks, poliomyelitis, influenza, and so on. So it's more like fun facts here, right? Interesting stuff. So other substances in the virus particle. So there may be enzymes for specific operations within their host. Polymerases will synthesize DNA and RNA. Replicases copy RNA, and reverse transcriptase synthesizes DNA from RNA. So we make a copy of RNA, but we make it into DNA. So the vast majority of viruses completely lack the genes for the synthesis of metabolic enzymes. So some viruses carry away substances from their host cells. So they're hijackers. They steal what they want, what they find to be usable, and they learn from that over time. Rhinovirus takes along some ribosomes. Retrovirus borrows the host tRNA molecules. So this is a little information. I took some of the information out of the slide. SARS-CoV-19, basically, like all coronaviruses, is single-stranded, positive sense strand RNA virus. How viruses multiply. So viruses are a minute parasite that seize the control of the synthetic and genetic machinery of cells. So viruses are pirates. They're hijackers. They are lazy in that they don't take anything with them. They go by the seat of their pants and then utilize whatever's available to them in the host cell. So the way the cycle works dictates the way the virus is transmitted, what it does to the host, the immune defense response, which, as we know, can be different in different people, and then the human measures to control the viral infection, so how we control it. So I'm going to stop here, and I'll pick up on this in part 3 of chapter 5.